Alright guys, now in this lesson I'm going to show you how to write an article. I know a lot of you guys are struggling. Some of you are saying, I don't know how to communicate effectively. How should I write my blog? Should I write it like an essay? How to get ideas, etc, etc. So this lesson we're gonna have a look at that in more detail, and for that I'm gonna actually use my website as an example. So the article that I'm gonna use is an article I wrote last year. I wrote an article called "Why is Data So Expensive in South Africa?" And this article is actually the one that got me featured on Huffington Post. So if you come here, if you search, just Google "Why is data so expensive in South Africa?" the first article that is going to pop up is this article. And then at the bottom is actually my YouTube video discussing why is data so expensive in South Africa. So already that's a big thing. So let's go to the first article that appears. So Huffington Post wrote an article and they actually featured me here. If you can read here, it says mobile networks have to put certain infrastructure in place to provide mobile services to all parts of South Africa, but running the costs are expensive. Tech expert Nick Inspires. You see this statement here? Nick Inspires. And if you click here, it comes back to my original website. So this is why I want to use this article as an example of how you can write an article that is so effective that people want to read about it. So let's get into that. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to show you what are some of the ingredients that I use to write an article so well such that it got featured on a major publication such as Huffington Post. So the first thing that I want to say is that you need to analyze your audience. All right. So we've already created our buyer persona. Our buyer persona is this, and we know what he likes. And this part is very, very important when you're creating a blog. So if you know what your readers are interested in, for example, Mpumalanga tourist buyer persona, I know that they're interested in outdoors, biking, sports, fun loving, and they like socializing. And so when I create a blog about tourism, it should incorporate all these things in the blog. But now I'm using my blog, Nick Inspires, as an example. So the first thing that I did was to research topics related to my blog. At that time, Nick Inspires was all about technology. It was all about sharing tech news, etc, etc. And in the country, there was a hashtag that was being used called Data Must Fall. So I actually found that on Google. So if you put Data Must Fall, you will see the hashtag was trending last year. So that is the first thing that I want to mention, is that always look at what is trending at the moment. And the best place to find what's trending, go to Twitter. And Twitter will show you what is trending, what is currently happening at the moment. For example, here you can see that Ask a Man is trending, Durban, etc, etc, etc. So you can use that to get ideas of what to write about. But once again, it has to be relevant to your blog. So Data Must Fall was relevant to me because I was a tech blogger at the time. So that is the first thing. Look at what is trending. The other thing that we discussed earlier when we were doing market research was Google Trends. All right. So if you are here, Google Trends will show you what is currently trading around the world. But now you want to be narrow, you want to be focused. So you want to focus, say for example, if you are in South Africa, you want to focus on what's trending in South Africa. Let's see if we can't get this. So right now in technology, PlayStation 4 Conan Exiles is trending. So you want to make sure that your articles that you write, they're related to this. If you're a gamer or if you're into science and NASA, you can write about this. And you can also check which countries are trending. For example, search for a topic, say for example, mobile networks. Okay, then I'm gonna narrow it down to South Africa. You can say best mobile and networks. Best LTE. Alright, so now you can see the interest of LTE over the past 5 years in South Africa, and you can see that it's slowly increasing. And you can also check it for the past 12 months. So you can use that and decide whether I should write about LTE. For example, a nice topic here would be, what is the best LTE network in South Africa? And then here on Google Trends, it'll show you related topics that are currently trending. So you can see here, you have Apple Watch, line of products, Samsung Gear. So this should all give you ideas of what you can write about. Then the last thing I'm going to show you, I've showed you before, is the Keywords Planner. So once again, you just need to have a Google account. Go to Keywords Planner. Data is expensive, data expensive. So you change the location to South Africa. So here it'll give you a combination of different keywords that you can use, and once again you can see telecom mobile deals, average monthly searches is 10,000 to 100,000, and the competition is high. Here Vodacom deals, the search is also high but the competition is low. So you can write about Vodacom deals and you'll get a lot of traffic, between 10,000 and maybe 30,000. So this is how you brainstorm different ideas and keywords you can use to see what is actually trending. So you don't want to write a blog that no one is interested in, you know. So say for example, let me look at something that is low here. Best shares to buy in South Africa. It has average monthly searches of 100 and 1,000, and the competition is high. And once again, if you want to write about LTE, you can see that the average monthly searches for this term is actually quite low. So that is how you brainstorm ideas and what's trending and how to find the article to write about. Now let's get down to the actual writing of the article. So say for example, now you've decided you want to write a topic about why is data expensive in the country. So the first thing that I like doing is brainstorming. I create small subtopics around the bigger topic, and then I write as much as possible around that topic, and I research, I read other people's blog, I look at publications, and I read, because one mistake that most bloggers make is to write something that other bloggers have written before, and as you do that, it loses credibility as the line goes down. So you want to make sure you get news directly from the source. For example, okay, I'm going to show you my draft, how I drafted mine. Then the second thing after brainstorming is to arrange your topics and your paragraphs in an orderly manner. You need an intro, then you need the body, then you need the conclusion. So this is pretty much standard. It's almost like writing an essay at school, but just a bit different now for the internet. And you also need to follow general journalism procedure, you know. So if you're going to be reporting on a story, you need to make sure you have a link and you have supporting evidence to that. Most of the time I don't report on stories, I just simply create a tutorial or give a review. And when you give a review, you always want to be objective. Although it's difficult, everyone is biased, but try as best as possible to be objective. But the most important thing is that you include references in your article. So do not just create an article and there's no references, you know. For example, if we go back again here, why is data expensive? You'll see I included links here to add a bit of authority into what I'm actually talking about. And even on let's just quickly go again, why is data expensive? You will see how they write their blogs. So this link here, I also used it when I was creating my blog, and they've included another link here. So you can clearly see that it gives the article more authority if you use references. So, and that is just standard journalism procedures, you know, including references. I'm not teaching you to be a journalist, but I'm just saying that those are things that you need to take into consideration when writing your article. So it's not just an essay that you would write at school. You actually have to include references. And because it's a blog, you also need to take into account search engine optimization, which we've already discussed here when we were doing our research. So the structure here needs to be, you need to have an introduction, then you need to have the body, then you need to have a conclusion. Then the last stage that I like to do is to actually write the final article. So what I usually do is that here, when I'm brainstorming, I write as much as possible, probably 1,000 or 800 words. And then here I summarize everything to about 300 and 500 words. And that's always the case, you know, I never run out of words. So I don't know about you, so you might struggle to get a lot of ideas on what to write. But once I start writing, I just go on and on and on and on. And that's why I create subtopics so that they guide me. So I don't want to create one random topic. Say, for example, I'm writing about why is data expensive. If I just put a topic like this, I can write 600 words with no direction. But the moment I put or I include subtopics, then it sort of like guides me what I should write about, and it leads me to my conclusion as well. So the last part is to actually summarize the paragraphs under each topic. You remove things that you don't like or things that are not relevant to the message. And then general house rules, make sure that the article you are writing is relevant. So if you are writing a tech blog, do not include anything related to cooking or cars or fashion, so stick to your audience. And when you do that often, say for example, you create 10 blogs every single month, Google also recognizes that and it will give you a higher ranking. So I see a lot of people, a lot of bloggers, when they're starting out, they want to create a blog, they talk about cars, they talk about the entertainment sector, they talk about this and that. That will just make it a very, very difficult for you to rank in Google. So make sure you focus on one topic and you write everything related to that. If you have a cooking blog, all your articles should be about cooking. All right. So, another thing is, do not copy other people. You might think that no one will notice. You're going to copy a blog from someone in the UK or in Australia and you're just going to repeat that. Google will notice that. You might, or your visitors might not pick that up, but Google will notice that and it will penalize you. So make sure the content that you are writing is relevant and, most importantly, it's original. Then the second thing here is search engine optimization. Make sure your article is searchable. We're going to discuss that in detail now. How do you make it search engine optimized? And this can actually be tricky because on one hand, you want to make an article that is readable, and then on the other hand, you want to make sure that your article is search engine optimized. So that can be a bit tricky. Then the third thing is to always keep your article short and simple. Always try to have a minimum of 300 words, but try to make it 500 words at bare minimum. So never write an article that is less than 300 words. Now my articles, they are 800 words. If they are 500 words, it's usually something that I was in a rush to publish, and I'm gonna later on add some more words. And that's another thing that I wanted to say. So your article is not your final article. You can always go back, improve it. If you get more information or if the facts change, you can always go back. And Google actually likes that when you keep your articles fresh, keep updating them with new information. Then the last thing is proofreading. And a lot of people take this for granted, So proofreading is actually very, very difficult to do, especially if you are a loner and you're a blogger and you're the only one who's doing proofreading. That's why big publications or news outlet, they have editors, they have proofreaders to make sure that the article, before it goes out, it is the best article. And sometimes it's not only just about spelling mistakes and grammar, but it's actually making sure that the structure is relevant and you're using the right tone. I've read some blogs where someone is talking about something as innocent about cars, but they are so violent, and you can actually tell that this person was angry when they created this blog. So you want to be able to detect that when you are proofreading your article. So what I usually do, I install a proofreading tool called Grammarly. So you can see here, this icon here is Grammarly. So to install Grammarly, just Google Grammarly. You can see this icon here. It's this icon here. So in order to add Grammarly, you just click here, add Chrome, and then you fill in all these details. But anyways, I've already added it to my website, so I'm not gonna do that again. But anyways, I encourage you guys to add Grammarly. It will help you a lot. So Grammarly is just a step above your normal spell checker. So for example, I'm using Pages now in my MacBook. So the spell checker is okay, but it's not as good as Grammarly. So Grammarly will also check your grammar, obviously, and you don't need to get the premium version, although you can, but the free version is just as fine as well. Then the second thing I want to mention under proofreading is that do not publish your article after writing. This is a no-go area. I know you are the best writer out there, but do not publish, resist the temptation to publish your article immediately after writing. Even if you've checked using Grammarly, there's no spelling mistakes, do not publish unless you've been doing this for the past 30 years or so. But still, I wouldn't advise it. So after writing an article, you can send it to a friend or you can send it to someone to proofread it. What I usually do, since I've been doing this for a while, is that I write the article and then I go do something else during the day, or I write another article and then I come back to it later on, usually after 6 hours or so, and I review the article and I read it with a clear mind, and I am able to detect the spelling mistakes, I'm able to detect my biased views and so on and so forth. And that is if you don't have a proofreader. So now sometimes I send it to another person. If I'm writing it for a client, that is important. I always make sure I send it to another person who is good at proofreading, and I pay for that. So depending on how big your blog is, but when you're starting out, you're proofreading everything yourself. So just make sure that you don't publish your article immediately after writing. You want to maybe wait for 6 hours or even wait for 24 hours. So do not publish your article after writing. Always wait to proofread it again if you're going to do it yourself, or give it to another person to read it and then get their feedback. Alright, so now let me show you the draft of the article that I wrote. Why is that expensive? So these are the subtopics that I was mentioning. So the first thing is, why is data so expensive in the country? Then another subtopic is, data hasn't fallen, now what? Then the other topic was truth about data prices in South Africa. You can also see here I was deciding what topic can I use that will be provocative, a topic that when people read it, they're just interested in reading it. And that's another thing. When you write your blog articles, always think about your reader. Is this an article someone would want to share with their friends? Is this an article that after reading it, people will want to share or comment, and they're going to have strong opinions about it? So here I was also brainstorming some of the titles to my blog. So here I included something very controversial. There's a company that did a survey but also offers data prices, so all these things that are here. And the last thing that I always want to do is to always make it personal, and here you can also add use an example. Let me just zoom this. So do not just talk about the topic as if it's something distant to you. So my style of writing is always in first person. So I always like to use personal examples. I will never blog about something that I have limited knowledge about. So if I'm reading a book or I'm doing a book review, I'll always try and add a bit of my personal experience and an example of how you can apply this into your life. So this it just makes it more personal when you're writing the blog. Obviously it depends. Is this a business blog? Is this a hobby blog? I'm doing it for a corporate? So yeah, that is up to you to decide, but I enjoy making it more personal and using examples. Then I've already mentioned this one, use references from trusted sources. So do not reference other blogs, unless it's something small or something they've done, but always use trusted sources, publications, verified sources, if I can put it that way. And then here I included comparison, what to do with it. So this is how I was busy brainstorming while writing this article. So now you can see this is the first paragraph that I wrote down. Then I wrote down this one. This is the link actually where I got the research publication. You can see it was in a PDF format. And then after writing this draft, I went on to create this article. You can see this article now is starting to take shape. This was copy and pasted from another website. And so yeah, these are my brainstorming articles. I'm not gonna read everything here, but I hope you get the idea. So it's all about brainstorming and writing as much as possible. And then what I did, I just copied everything like it is here. Now I'm gonna show you how I published it. So I've already showed you how to create a post on the Mpumalanga Tourist website. So here I included my title, why is data so expensive? And then here, let me just redo this again. I'm just gonna delete everything here. And then I'm gonna paste that in there. And now you can already see Grammarly. You can see it gives you suggestions, the words that you should use. So here I wrote, mobile data is so expensive in South Africa is largely because of, and then it gives me the suggestion that of. And you can either choose to replace it or leave it as it is. Similar here, it has world class and world class. And some of the things are not easily detectable on normal spell checkers. Like this one. So this one might indicate that everything is fine, but actually there's some spelling and grammar errors. So this is why I prefer to use, so here, this is a spelling mistake. Grammarly is able to detect what you wanted to say, which is very cool. So here, it's not a spelling mistake. The nest is correct, but it's just not what's supposed to be there. So here you can include next. So you can go on and edit as you see fit. Then the other thing that I always want to do is to make this my headings. So headings are important also for search engine optimization. So here I include data is expensive, now what? And usually I always like to make this also a title, a subtitle. So I might say something like this. Voila. And then the other thing that we can do here is that you need to select where you want to categorize this article under opinions and reviews. Then you add the category. Then here I added all the tags that are relevant to that. So all of this falls part of improving my search engine optimization of the article. And another thing is that you will see throughout the whole article, I always use data expensive in South Africa. That is my main focus keyword. And I'm going to show you when I start doing my marketing and how to market your blog. So you'll see I repeatedly use the words data prices, data is expensive. So the more keywords you use on your article, it improves your search engine ranking. And then after that, I obviously published this. So this is how you can write an article that will get attraction from the media and also an article that people want to share. I hope now you have a better understanding of how to create and write articles that are meaningful, articles that will engage your audience, and articles that hopefully will be featured on places like Huffington Post.